Good evening, everyone. Edward Leos here, actually publisher of the Hotel Guide. For the last 29 years, travel has been in my blood, and I've been happy to share this with the world as well. So the Hotel Guide is a digital marketing platform. Again, like I said, we've been around for 29 years. And one of the things that we decided to do going into 2022 was actually create the THG Travel Podcast. And so going to the second half of the year, we're excited about some of our guests that we're going to have, and actually none better than what we're going to have on the show today. A really good friend and fellow traveler, Adam Asher, who's actually the founder of The Edge of Adventure, and really excited to kind of hear a little bit about his story, how it fits into travel, and maybe talk a little bit about what some things he thinks are on tap for 2023. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring him onto the screen here. And he should be coming in here shortly. There we go. Adam,
Edward,
good to have you.
thanks for having me. Thanks for just, having me on the show tonight, but also it's my honor and privilege to be a part of the Hotel Guide and this team that you have of contributors. And I mean, it's quite an honor, brother.
I
I appreciate you.
appreciate it. We were talking a little bit off camera, but what area of the country are you actually located in?
So headquarters for me is in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're
Okay.
Eastern time. So this, as it is live, it's just after 8 o'clock here, and
Yep.
Atlanta's home. I grew up a Georgia boy.
Nice, nice. Kind of like myself, being always here in Texas, and I took a little hiatus to Missouri for a couple of years, but back in San Antonio, Texas, where I was born as well. So Texas boy and a Georgia boy here. So I know we're competing a little bit with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. We're talking about that, but heck,
I mean,
we got
there's no competition. What are you talking
no
about?
competition. We got 15 minutes of some good travel talk here, and I want to dive into a little bit about your story. I can guarantee you this will not be the last time you're going to be on a podcast together. I know we've talked about some big things coming up in the future between our two companies, but why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you kind of got started with The Edge of Adventure, and let's just kind of be fluid with all this conversation.
Well, absolutely. Again, thank you, Edward, and
You're
it's
welcome.
great to see everybody tonight. The Edge of Adventure, if I were to try to, put it into a nutshell or describe it briefly, I'd say that it is a documentary and also a podcast, both of which the heart and soul for these productions is to tell the stories of humanitarian organizations, works, people, organizations doing great things around the world. I call it the Edge of Adventure because for me, if you really look at the humanitarian work that's taking place around the globe, it's so much of it is happening in places that are difficult to get to,
Mm-hmm.
places where maybe you don't have all the luxuries of home, but these are the places where real work is being done, where people are facing needs and
Mm-hmm.
other people have decided to take what they've been given, their skills and resources, and they've decided to serve other people and to do something about the need that exists in the world today. And these people doing these wonderful things, I like to tell their stories. I find them motivational. I find them inspiring. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I seek to do through the documentary, which is called The Edge of Adventure, also by the same name, the podcast. And in both cases, the heart is just different ways to do the same thing. But it's about
Yeah.
telling these stories that I think we all need to hear.
Perfect. I know that we've talked a little bit about some of those stories. What are some that kind of over the time you've been doing this that have really stood out and kind of maybe touched your heart? Maybe something that really just got you in a place that you didn't know. But what are some of those stories that really worked for you and kind of conveyed that into the Edge of Adventure?
Great question. If I were to look back over really the last 2 years where
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing the podcast, I had a weekly podcast that have a weekly podcast, began it about 2 years ago. And that journey has allowed me, and you say, well, 2 years ago, yeah, that's right. That goes back to right in the heart of 2020 is when I launched it. And
Mhm.
at a time when we weren't able to go places, and we weren't able to have those type of experiences, that stuff was on hold so much. And it really gave me the opportunity to travel the world through technology, through the podcast,
Mhm.
and I got to meet so many people, so many wonderful people. It would be hard for me, Edward, I think, to say this one particular work stood out to me or meant more to me. I think I think I'd probably answer the question more in this way. I would say what stood out to me and what has touched my heart and my soul is just the sheer number of people in the world today who have chosen to do something with what they have, but to do something for others. And the
Mm.
podcast, I mean, we went to places in Africa, places in Europe, in Asia, Southeast Asia, South America, the Caribbean, and
Wow.
this theme that kept coming up, that I think is sort of the central theme for all of these stories. When you talk
Mhm.
to the people who do this type of work, what you constantly hear is a common thread, a common theme for them, is that they felt like they had to do something. It wasn't enough to see the need and turn away. They had to do something. And yeah, I invite people to check out the podcast, because there are
Yeah.
some amazing, touching stories in the podcast. And then, of course, the documentary is going to be streaming later this year.
Awesome. Do you feel that obviously post COVID and going through everything that we've been, that has really affected not only obviously it's affected travel, but the emotional tie to the importance of travel and just people in general?
I think so. What is that old saying? You don't really appreciate something until it's gone. I
Hmm.
think travel falls into that category, because in a way, in a sense, it was gone from us for a
Yeah.
period of time. And so then it comes back around, and we appreciate it. We see it with new eyes. I think, but the connection with other people can also fall into that category, because maybe we took it for granted before, that personal connection, that ability to go and meet and see people face to face, and we lost
Yeah.
that. And now I think we can appreciate it and should appreciate it more. Also, because we live in this age, we had technology to kind of step in and fill a gap. And just
Hmm.
like you and I are able to have this conversation, and we're able to share it with the people
Yeah.
online who are watching it live, the people who will listen to the audio version, all these different, for months and years to come, we're able to share these things. And so technology stepped in, but I think it did drive home that fact that we need that personal connection, and that none of us, no one is an island, to themselves.
Yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Obviously, with the hotel guide for the last couple of years, you know, obviously there's not much going on because of travel and everything. So I'm really excited about where we're going with the company, and aligning with great people like yourself, and getting the word out there about, the importance of travel, the emotional ties that travel brings to an individual. But I think over the last couple of years, moments tended to matter even more. And I think, like you said, we aren't these little islands that are meant to be by ourselves. We are meant to experience. Humans are about being together, and travel does that. I mean, it really does. And when you combine humanitarianism to that, when you look at ways to help people along the way, I've always been told too is that you can never feel bad for helping someone. You just can't. And our body actually releases endorphins when we do good for other people. And so, the combining what you're doing with the edge of adventure with travel is just it's just phenomenal. What are some of the things, what makes what you do so special?
Well, I hope it's special. I mean,
I,
ultimately,
I think it is.
the people decide. The people decide. I love what I do, because it's. I mean, in terms of the role that I play in it, it is me, right? And in my story, we'll get into it some other time. But I a few years back, I came to that point where I asked myself, how can I take what I know how to do
Mhm.
and actually do something with it that I love to do. And I'm a guy that I come out of sort of the media camp. I do everything from write and on air stuff and
Hmm.
management and media, and these are the things that I did as as a professional. And yet, my heart, my personal, I love to travel. I love to see new places. I love to meet new people. I love to learn languages and culture and have an appreciation for that. And I just began wondering, how can I combine all of that? And I spent some time figuring it out, and I sort of got this vision for this thing we call the edge of adventure, which is to take that heart for travel and
Hmm.
humanitarian work and to create an experience that people can participate in by watching it by streaming it and watching it on television, or listening to the audio podcasts, or participating through other ways, including social media, so on and so forth, but to share the experience. Because I agree. I am richer for that. And whether
Hmm.
I feel, richer just by getting the opportunity to travel and to connect to people, learn who they are, what what their life is like. And when you get back to the giving of yourself and giving to other people and caring for and doing something for other people, I'm always I guess conscious of the fact that i- when I needed help, there was
Yeah.
somebody there. And I also know that when I need help in the future, there'll be somebody there. And I don't take that lightly. And therefore, I need to be open to helping someone else. And there is a
Hmm.
lot of need in the world. That is something that we certainly have seen more and more in the last few months and years.
Yeah.
And yet, if the good people join together, make a decision to do
Hmm.
something good, they can. And yeah, they're better off for it. But it should always be done in a sense of humility, because we've all needed help, and we're here because somebody was there to help us when we needed
No,
guidance.
yeah, 100%. I agree with you with that. I know we've got probably about 3 or 4 more minutes on this, and you know how time flies. I like to keep things in some sort of schedule. I mean, we always can go over, but as we're wrapping things up, give me some of your thoughts going into 2023. Maybe travel globally, and then maybe what you're thinking about with the edge of adventure. And at the same time, just give me a plug. Plug that website. We want people to
Okay,
know
well,
and go
thank you
check it
very
out.
much. Well, first of all, since we're wrapping up, again, I am super proud to be a part of the Hotel Guide. I am appreciative, and I value this next phase. I mean, you've been in this business for a long time, but I know you're also building something. You've got a vision for
Mhm.
something, and it's taking place. You've taken what you have built, and you're honing it here, and I can sense it. And to be a part of that is a huge blessing and opportunity for me. So thank you for that. And
Oh,
in
you're
terms of
welcome.
2023, I think we're probably headed into a time where travel is going to boom. It's going to be a big deal. It already is. People are excited about getting that freedom back and the mobility back, the ability to move
Mhm.
around. I think that's good. And as I wrote in your current edition of
Yeah.
the Hotel Guide, I think travel is back, and I think we should never be the same. We, the
Mhm.
ones who get to travel, we should look at travel with new eyes, and we should look at also the people that we come in contact with new eyes, and with a kindness and a respect that maybe we didn't have before, because we started taking
Yeah.
things for granted. The Edge of Adventure, look me up online, theedgeofadventure.com. That's theedgeofadventure.com, or look for The Edge of Adventure on social media, pretty much anywhere you'll find it. There is a documentary that
Mhm.
has been doing well on the film award festival circuit.
Yeah. I saw
Been
that.
doing well. Thank you for that. I mean, I'm very pleased and proud of that. We're now in the phase where we're negotiating the agreements for streaming. Those will be finalized so that we can get this out to the public by sometime in the near future, certainly this year. And for 2023, for me, I look forward to bringing the Edge of Adventure documentary to the next level. I have a new country. The current one that's out is on Nicaragua in Central America,
Mhm.
and I've got another country picked out. And yeah, we'll talk about that next time. But there's good things coming up in 2023, and I want to produce more of this content. Like doing it. I feel like it's what I'm called to do, but I also think that these stories need to be told. I think they're good
Mhm.
for us when we hear them, and if I get to be a part of that in some small way, I'm a happy guy.
No, I agree, and I appreciate you being on this evening with me tonight. And I know it's just the first of many times that we're going to be able to have these discussions. Travel is in our blood. Making a difference in people's lives is also in our blood, and that's where the synergy comes together. So again, I want to thank you, Adam, for being on the call tonight. Again, theedgeofadventure.com. You got to check it out. We're also going to have hyperlinks on our website too at thehotelguide.com. You will be able to catch this podcast on our website within the next day or so, as well as on Spotify and anchor.fm. So in the meantime, everybody have a blessed evening. Thank you again for joining. Adam, again, I appreciate you taking the time. And till next time, let's just keep making some memories and helping some people.
Thank you.
You got it.
Talk to you soon.
You got it. Mm.